Hello, this is Dawn. Today I want to go over something with you called astrocartography. And this is something that you can use as a beginner, or if you know more about your chart, you can actually go to more advanced levels. But it is kind of fun just to explore what's going on in your chart with this astrocartography of interesting places to travel or places that you have already been to that you very much resonated with. So let's start by taking a look at basically the birth chart comes first. So I'm going to present to you. There we go. And there we are. Okay, this is my birth chart. So what I would do in astro.com is go up to this area, click on that button as far as the horoscopes, Astro Shop, open up this menu and go down to, in this case, locational astrology. Click, and we are going to go at this time to Astro, click travel. What this does is it brings up a map of the entire globe with my birth chart placed over it. Now, this little section here where there's a bullseye, that is where I was born. I was born in Rochester, Minnesota. And if you look at the different areas of the chart, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the chart a bit. So some of the interesting things that you can pick up are things like this. Okay, I actually lived in Jacksonville, Florida. And oddly enough, I do have a Uranus IC line going right next to that particular place. So let me move this up so you can see what's going on here. Do it this way a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So with these lines that are these vertical north and south lines, these you can be within up to 500 miles of it being relatable to you. So the closer you are, of course, the more potent that energy is going to be for you. One of my favorite places to visit was St. Augustine, Florida, which is right through the center of this line. It goes right through Orlando. Yes, yes, yes. And Jacksonville is where I lived. And actually, I lived at Jacksonville Beach, Florida. So I actually lived right about on this. I lived right in this area. Oops, back it up a little. I actually lived, yes, right about here, I would say. Right there. So I worked for Mayo at that time, and we would have been right about here. It's where I lived, and the clinic would have been right about here. So this is the area that is so close to this IC line. If you look at the miles over here, it was only like 3 miles away. Very, very potent energy for that particular line in my chart. And it happens to be a Uranus line. And I found out that Uranus is very prevalent in my chart. It is in Leo at 28 degrees, but the north node, the planets have north nodes just like the moon does. The north node of Uranus is actually on my ascendant. So Uranus is a very strong energy for me. And very often I will end up going to places and I don't know why I travel to that particular direction. The other thing I will let you know is right here in this area, I actually own property in the Keys on actually this little island. I owned a lot. So it's very odd that it is so close to that Uranus energy. So those are the things that you can look at in your chart. What are some of the places that I visited? Well, I will show you that on my Venus IC, my Venus IC goes right through New York. It actually goes right through Manhattan, actually within blocks of where of the hotel that I stayed when I was visiting there. So it's amazing how big things in your life can lay along these lines. And these are just the major lines. There's other lines that you can use. But as a beginner, I would start with these lines where it is really showing you where those major impacts may be in your life. You can also go here when I press this Venus IC line. Along this line, oh yeah, Venus, it gives you information about it. But this particular Venus line, give me that more information right about here. Yeah. So along this line, it'll give you ideal places for relaxing, peace and quiet, creativity. So it was very much a place that I felt very comfortable, very much at home, had a great time. So what other places have I been and visited? Well, I actually, surprisingly, have a trip that I'm planning, and it happens to be in areas of Europe that I have not been in before, but are very connected to these lines, unbeknownst to me. So I didn't know about these lines when I had my children. I did not know about these lines when I bought my property in the Keys. I did not know about these lines when I visited Ireland. And one of the other things I will note here is that this AC line that goes through this area here is very much about Uranus again, and very near, this is where Galway is. So that's one of the places that I visited. So I want you to take a look at your own chart and see how this looks for you in your own map. So this is called astrocartography or astro mapping. And one of the things I also want to show you is, which is why I'm so excited. In December, I'm going to be going on a cruise. It's going to be starting in Budapest, which is right here. And it will be ending in Prague, which is right here. And I do have a line that goes right through the center of Prague. So I will be exploring my calendar and I think really sharing some of the things that I find that are related to some of these lines. This Mars MC line is very much an active line. This Jupiter descendant line, would be where I normally, the people that I meet. And Jupiter actually rules my 7th house of relationships. So this would be a very positive line for me to meet other people. And I do happen to be going, again, through some of these interesting places. I'm going to be going to Nuremberg. I'm going to be in this particular area as well, traveling on the Danube. So again, starting in Budapest, traveling the river, going to Nuremberg is one of the places, and then all along in here. So I'm actually going to be hitting my Jupiter descendant and my Mars MC. And again, this Chiron is where I'm going to end the trip. I'll be spending a couple days in Prague. So it's very interesting that this just happened to work out that way. I didn't plan my trip according to these lines, but these lines are happening, and I'm going to be traveling on them during my trip. So that I find very interesting. I also did a trip where I went to Italy. And again, this particular place in Italy is, I went to Rome, I went down and I was in Positano, which is just south of Naples. And as I explored this little section here is where the Amalfi Coast, which is where Positano is located. And again, that's on my Jupiter descendant line. And I had an amazing time, met a lot of amazing people, took some amazing tours. So it was just a beautiful time spent in Italy. And it was on this very positive line. Now, if I want to go and plan a trip, one of the other things that you have to consider is your own natal chart. In my natal chart, I do have Mars in a square to Venus, but Mars is also in a trine to my moon. So what lines do I want to be on? Well, some of the lines that may show up may be Mars-Venus lines. And if that's the case, I probably would not want to go to those places because it would be a little bit more uncomfortable for me. Or if it's a something that's in a square to Pluto or in an opposition to Pluto. So those are the energies. I do have different aspects. What I did is I went up here and hit with harmonious aspects to see what other things may come up for me on this particular map. So again, these are the areas in Italy. And there's Naples, went to Rome, that area. So this is something that you can do on your own, very interesting. Go here so I can make this bigger. So as you can see, this is Saturn trine the MC. This is this area of the chart. This is again that Chiron line that goes right through Prague. And I have a Mars MC, I have a Mercury AC, and I have a Moon trine the MC. So all of these areas here are going to be very interesting areas for me to explore, right? So I think that is something I'm going to be looking forward to because these are going to be right in the areas that I'm going to be in. And this is very, very close to Nuremberg. And then from Nuremberg, we'll be traveling by coach to Prague. So all of this, I will be crossing over each one of these lines. And I am actually going to be in one of the places we're going to also is over in this area. So there's many, many places to visit and to see. And I would suggest that if you're planning a trip somewhere, that you can actually take a look at these lines and look at places where you've been in the past and what areas have you gotten some good vibes from. I actually visited London about 40 years ago, and I have lines that go right through London. One of them is a sun line. You can't go wrong with being on a sun line, right? So this is a sun MC line. This is that area of the chart. And look, right on top of London. And I had a fabulous time. Went to see like 5 different musicals on the London stage, Cats and Les Mis and Chess and Phantom of the Opera right after it opened. So those are the things that you can look at. I want to go to Spain and maybe do some hiking. This is France. I have some nice lines near Paris. So if you look at those areas of your chart, it's very interesting. You can also take off the harmonious and you can look at, okay, where might not be great for me? Okay, maybe not so much in certain areas of the chart, maybe more challenging. If you're going to settle on a Saturn line, it means that you're going to be working. So if you're retiring, you might not want to go to a Saturn line. You might want to go more to a Venus line, much more relaxing area of your chart so that you can enjoy yourself. So that is my basic look at astrocartography. And this is under AstroClick Travel. And you do need to keep your natal chart in mind. So I will go back here and go back to the extended chart selection and show my chart again. So if you were looking at this Saturn, Neptune square, Mars square, Pluto, or Venus, I might avoid those lines if I was traveling or not spend a lot of time in those areas. I do have sun lines are always good lines. Jupiter lines are generally good lines. So I would say those are the things that you look at in your chart and then look for the more positive lines. Whatever happens to be the ruler of your 7th house, in my case, this is Sagittarius, so Jupiter would be the ruler. You want to look for those lines if you want to meet people that you would be attracted to and want to hang out with in that area of the chart, because that represents other for you. And maybe even possibly more romantic relationships, depending upon where that is going on in your chart and maybe what is actively happening in your chart at the moment. So if I wanted to say, to look at the transits and say, what is going on for me during this month right now? I just had the sun entering into Sagittarius. My lot of fortune is actually at 3 degrees of Sagittarius. So, you know, in the next couple days, I'll have my sun going over my lot of fortune. Great time to meet other people. This is the energy that you can take with you, your chart, wherever you go. And it also adds a few other things if you want to explore. So I will show you that briefly. I'm going to go back to locational astrology, and I'm going to click local space. The reason I'm doing this is that whatever hotel or place that you're going to be staying, you can actually take your chart with you. So I'm going to be traveling, and I'm going to be spending about 5 days in Budapest. So we will kind of zero in on Budapest. Budapest would be right about here. There we are. And I happen to know where I'm staying in Budapest, so I'm going to close in on that. Yes. This, yeah. Map. Okay. Right. I actually know the building. So here is where I'm staying in Budapest. So I'm going to click that button right there, and I'm going to put my chart. So I am going to move that marker. Hold on a moment. Okay. Yeah. So right here. I'm moving this. And again, I happen to know where I'm staying. It is this building right here. So what it will do is center that place. So if you're staying in a hotel, you can go to this area, put the marker right where you're going to be staying at. That's one of the beauties of this particular feature. Now, as I close this, back this out a little bit, I can see what's around me. So what would be an interesting thing to go see? So as I did this, one of the things that I was planning on doing, still planning on doing, is these are the famous heated mineral baths here in Budapest. And I have a line, and it's a sun line that is going right over the top of it, right here. Now, this is actually a big centered park. It's got like a Dracula style castle that's on the grounds that was built, I believe they said somebody by Lugosi. So this is a big park area, but I do have where I'm staying. If I follow my sun line, it goes right over this particular area. So I'm very excited about being able to go there and actually spend some time at those, I think they're the Chechki baths. So also on my lines, as I get closer, there are places that they call ruin bars where there were buildings that were about falling apart. And as I looked at that, here I found out I have some lines that are very much associated with this. My Mercury line goes right over that area. This is one of those ruin bars right here. So there's different things in your chart that you can follow. If I want to meet people, this is the descendant line. This area is actually going to be, if I follow it farther along, is where the Christmas markets are going to be in this area. So very possible, meeting a lot of different people. This is something fun that you can do wherever you travel to, and put, even if you put it on like a relative's house and you go, okay, where would be a fun place to go for dinner? Things like that. You can look up different lines for yourself and maybe for other people in your family, and it's all based on your natal chart. So this is what I find fascinating about being able to use these different tools in astro.com. And you can get very, very close to where you want to be with this particular area of your chart. It's nice for me that I can show, instead of showing where I actually live, I'm showing where my my location is going to be when I'm in Budapest. And then I'll change this location when I go to the hotel right before the cruise starts. So we are staying in that particular area down in here somewhere. And then I will move it to that area of the chart and then enjoy where I'm going to be traveling then. So I will be updating this as I travel and finding different things to follow along and follow my nose. So I hope that you can go down this rabbit hole with me and really take a look at what your chart has to tell you about those different areas in your life that you may have traveled to, those different places. Also, I would say that there's a few things that I can cover for you right here. So this area here is up by Alaska. This is just where a bunch of lines happen to cross. So don't worry about that being, oh, I have to go there. No, you don't. And where these little circles are, these would be where you would consider where the perfection would be, right exactly where they meet. Those are the other areas of the chart. And really, I would say concentrate on your descendant line, the DC line, your MC line, where you are showing your best self to the world. This would be being able to communicate with people. And there's different places. You have the Mercury IC line and you have the Mercury MC line. So you'll see those showing up in different places for you. And they have these different colored areas in the chart. So this is the DC line, and over here is the AC line. So it's very interesting, the different things that you can be doing with the chart at this time. And it's very fun to actually play with this. So I hope that was very informational for you. I want you to try this and see what you think. I think it's always good to learn a few new astrological techniques. I do have software that actually adds the parens in, which is a very much more advanced technique with astrocartography. And that is for someone who may be relocating or wants to pinpoint a few more significant areas in their chart that they might have had something going on. So it's a very fun rabbit hole to go down. So thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon. Talk later.